Hey guys, so today I am back to do the promised baby Q&A for you. You guys had a lot of great questions and I'm gonna get started right away because this might possibly need to be broken into 2 parts. If it is, then the next part will be up tomorrow. If not, then you get the whole thing today. So let's get started. The first question is from Caitlin R, and she asks, how much did you and Ryan weigh when you were born? Do you have a guess for what your baby will weigh? And Ryan and I were actually complete opposites. I was tiny, I was 6 pounds 2 ounces, and Ryan was huge. He was 9 pounds 2 ounces. So I really have no idea what our baby will end up being, and there's a lot of other factors as well that just because necessarily maybe the mom and the dad were small babies doesn't mean that your baby that you two make together will be small. For my mother, both me and my sister were 6-pound babies, but I was 2 weeks early and my sister was 2 weeks late. So there are a lot of factors, so I basically have no idea. As long as I don't have to push out a 9-pound baby, I'll be pretty happy. But if it happens, it happens. The next question comes from Wendy Loves Twilight, and she asks, would you consider showing us the process of moving to the new place and setting up the nursery? So if you guys don't know, we are planning on moving next May into a house. So baby will be with us in the same room for 5 months. And we will be showing probably the process of searching for a house and moving into the house on our vlog channel because we vlog every day on there. So if you want to keep up on that, then definitely go subscribe to our vlog channel. It's always linked in the description box. As for the setting up of the nursery, I'm not 100% sure that I'll show the actual setup of it, but I will definitely do a nursery reveal and show you guys the entire nursery, the theme, why we chose what we did. And so yeah, we'll show you that, but I don't know for sure if I'll include in that video the actual process. If I make anything, I might include that or do a separate video on making it. But I'm not 100% sure yet. That's kind of a long ways away, so when the time comes, you guys will find out. Question number 3 comes from Jess W, and she asks, are you guys doing a gender reveal party? If so, what are you going to do? We are not having a gender reveal party because we are going to my family reunion that next day. And people might think that's the perfect time to reveal and have like a party kind of thing, but it's a family reunion and it's to celebrate our family, not just our baby. So I don't really want to take the spotlight off of the entire family in our reunion and just put it on our baby for even an hour. I don't want to do that. So we will just be announcing it as people ask us at our reunion. But to tell our parents, we are going out to dinner for Ryan's dad's birthday the night that we find out. So we find out like 8:30 a.m. and then we're going out to dinner that night with his parents and his brother and sister-in-law for his dad's birthday. So what we're going to do is actually what Katie and Cullen did here on YouTube for their actual big party, because we're going to be at a restaurant, and so their idea was extremely awesome. I loved it, and it's polite to do in a restaurant. Obviously bringing a cake in a restaurant is not really acceptable, and doing something that's noisy isn't acceptable. Now what they did is with balloons, and they put holes in the ones that in the color that it wasn't. So for us, we'll give all the guys, because we have an even number, so we'll give all the guys a blue one, all the girls a pink one. At the same time, they'll blow them up, and then the one that blows up is the one that it is. Now for my parents, we're going to be going to their house after we have dinner with Ryan's parents. And we're gonna do actually an idea that my father-in-law came up with, which is basically putting the color balloon of whatever it is, pink or blue, inside a black balloon. Now that sounds kind of depressing, but I'm gonna see if they can put confetti inside as well. And basically what happens is one of my parents, or both together, will pop the balloon open, and it will open and the confetti will go down, and then the color of whatever gender it is will still remain intact, and that's how they'll find out. So that is the plan thus far, but of course it could change. Question number 4 comes from KLG2609, and she asks, how long were you trying to conceive? And I'm lumping this in with the next question as well. So we actually only legitimately tried to conceive by me tracking things for about 5 months. There were a few times before that we decided to, and I got off my birth control and then I decided not to. It was confusing. But it was about 5 months that we were like, yeah, let's really try for a baby. And I never really had to do a ton of tracking with temperatures, checking your temperatures in the morning, stuff like that, because I easily was able to find or know the day my body was ovulating just by the way my body was acting. So I was extremely blessed in that aspect to be able to just know my body really well and be able to just tell, because my body was kind of on a regular cycle. So the next question that goes along with that comes from Miss Demo Productions, and she asked, do you have any advice for women trying to get pregnant who have been unsuccessful? And I was not actually going to address this because of how quickly we did get pregnant, but because of, at the age of 19, I actually went into the doctor's office and my doctor was able to figure out that I had extremely low estrogen and progesterone. With that, she thought that I might have PCOS because of the fact that I had ovarian cysts that burst when I was younger and still had cysts that had not ruptured yet. And PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and basically it can make it extremely difficult for you to get pregnant, and it can cause weight gain and a bunch of other issues. So that was definitely something that I had to go through the thought process of thinking to yourself as a woman that you could not provide children for your spouse. And it is a very difficult thing to go through. I felt like I couldn't provide something so important to my husband, especially because Ryan is a huge family guy and all he wanted was kids. But it didn't matter how many times he told me he didn't care, and I knew deep down that he didn't mind because he was totally open to adoption and things like that if we couldn't. But my biggest advice for you women is who do struggle with this and have been unsuccessful is to make sure that you're talking to someone. And this is what Missy Lanning mentioned in her video, because she actually just did a Q&A and got asked this exact same question, and she said to make sure you talk to people, and she is extremely right. Make sure you're not keeping those thoughts and feelings inside just to yourself, and the most important person to make sure that you talk to is your spouse or your partner. Make sure that they're aware of the thoughts that are going on in your mind and that you don't have to just battle this difficult situation by yourself. And of course, try and look for the women on YouTube, because there is a huge support community on YouTube of women who have suffered with infertility or lost babies, and they are definitely a huge inspiration to watch. So I would definitely say to make sure that you look out for the YouTube community and just make sure that you're speaking with your spouse and that you're not just keeping it to yourself. So I hope that helps in some way. And we do have a prayer journal, so if you guys want us to add you to your prayer journal for anything, just let me know in the comments or in a message if it's too personal, and I of course will add you. Question number 6 comes from Amanda Panda, and she asks, do you have names picked out for both genders? And yes, we do have names picked out for both genders, both male and female, and we have middle names even picked out. And I believe it's the next question, yes, from Danielle A. She asked, will you do a name reveal before he or she is born or in the birth vlog? And I think we are actually going to tell you guys before the birth vlog, just because Ryan and I don't want to hide it forever. We really like the names. We know there's going to be people that don't like them because they are unique, but that's okay. It's our kid, so it doesn't really matter to us. But we want to share them with you guys, and so most likely we will tell you before the birth vlog, but it probably won't be right after we find out the gender. We'll probably spread it out, you know, give you guys some angst and want to find out. Most likely it'll probably be like a month or 2 before the baby is born that we will reveal the name. So yes, it's picked out, and we'll probably do it before the birth vlog. Question number 8 comes from Lauren and Kyle Hampton, and she asked, how did you tell Ryan you were pregnant? And this was her first question. And the way that I told Ryan we were pregnant is I had thought this all through. The thing was, is I took a test at 3 in the morning, and that's another question I'll answer in just a second. But I took the test at 3 in the morning, and when I got the positive back, I had had a lot of tests that I thought for sure were going to be positive before and weren't. And this time when I got the positive, and it actually was, and I didn't think it was going to be, even though I was late, I couldn't keep it a secret from my husband. I let him sleep though, because it was a work day, and if I had told him at 3 in the morning, he wouldn't have been able to go back to sleep either. So obviously I didn't have time to do anything special because it's 3 in the morning and he's gonna wake up in 4 hours. So what I decided to do was just get a simple post-it note, set the pregnancy test on the bathroom counter, and I just wrote "Good morning, Daddy" on it. And so I left it there, and I just waited for him to go in the bathroom and do his stuff in the morning. And the funny thing was, is it was one of the mornings when he just did not want to get out of bed. I mean, he wouldn't, and I kept trying to push him out, and he actually thought I was like not wanting to cuddle with him or spend time with him before work. And it was just because I wanted him to see the test, because I knew he was going to want to talk to me before, and if he put off going to the bathroom too long, he wouldn't be able to because he'd have to get ready for work. So I kind of pushed him out of the bed, and then when he went in there, he realized why. Obviously I was trying to push him out of bed. It wasn't because I didn't want him there. So that is how I told him. It wasn't anything extravagant, but it was because there was no way I could wait till he got home from work and not tell him when he was awake walking around. So I just did what first came to mind, and that was what was it, and it worked for us. So going along with that, also from Lauren and Kyle Hampton, was what made you decide to take the test? And that was actually, it was kind of difficult for me to take that test because the months prior, I was real sure I was pregnant because the first 2 months, I was perfectly on time. It was more just in my mind thinking every little symptom was pregnancy. But the next 2 months, I was late. And so the month prior, I was late. Or no, the month before I was late, and it just ended up being negative, and I took a test like 4 days after my missed period, and it ended up being negative. And then the next one, I was 4 or 5 days late again, but this time my bleeding was extremely bad. And so there was a chance that I had a miscarriage, and I still don't know, my doctors still don't know if I did for sure, because I went at the end of my bleeding, and so the HCG levels would have been at 0 by then, so there wasn't 100% way to tell if I had miscarried or not. But my obstetrician said that there was a chance. So when I was late again, this next one, it was just discouraging, and I was like, I know it's going to be negative. But because of the fact that the day before my boobs had hurt, and my boobs had never hurt, I've never had that before a period, I've never had it in my whole life, so the fact that it happened, I was like, something is up. And then that same night, I was getting up to go to the bathroom a ton, which is why I took it at 3 in the morning, because I was planning on possibly taking it, and the fact that I kept getting up to go to the bathroom, I was like, if I don't take this now, I'm not going to have enough pee for it to work. So I just took it at 3 in the morning when I knew I'd had the longest stint of time without going to the bathroom, so I knew I'd have enough pee, as weird as that sounds, and that's why I took it at that time and that day. So hopefully that explains it. Question number 9 is from Carrie Lane, and she asks, what would you do if the baby ended up being allergic to dogs? And this is such a sad question to think about, especially because I have a service dog. But I did want to address it, and basically, I do not think that the baby will be allergic to dogs. I haven't had anyone in my family. Ryan has one person that has in their family. But the good news is when a child actually grows up with a dog from infant, they actually end up being a lot more tolerant of certain allergies to things. So it's been medically proven, and they've done tests that infants that grow up with dogs end up actually being less allergic to things. So I'm hoping for that one. But of course it could happen, and if it does, depending on how bad of an allergic reaction it is, like if it's only a if you touch the dog thing, I think we might try to work around it because we could train our dogs well enough not to touch our child. But if it was bad enough that they couldn't even be in the same house, then more than likely we would move the dogs to my parents. I know my mom would be more than willing to take Levi, and my sister would reluctantly take Daisy. But I know that we would be able to find a home for them, that we would still see them regularly, but I don't even want to think about that. I am just going to stick with positive thinking that my child is going to be perfectly fine and not have any allergies for dogs. And the good news is, like I mentioned, is growing up from infanthood with dogs, you are less likely to have allergies to things. So I'm gonna hold on to that. Question number 10 comes from Lauren Weldschoffer, and she asks, do you have any books you are reading to get ready or websites? And here's the thing with this question is I actually am not anymore. I occasionally read a website that is a column with a bunch of women giving their different perspectives of their pregnancy, so I can see the wide range. The reason I'm not reading specific books is because I find that the books tend to be very negative, not like making pregnancy bad, but they always explain the worst of what pregnancy can be. And I'm a big believer in the power of the mind, and that if you're reading the negative stuff, your mind will make it happen because you keep obsessing over it, even though it probably never would have if you didn't hear about it. And because I stopped reading these books, I don't read them, and I've had a very easy pregnancy, and I think that that is part of it. If I have an issue or I'm worried about something, then I'll look up on one of those columns and see all the different perspectives of women and get an overall view of what may be going on. And obviously if it's something I'm worried about, then I'll call my doctor. But in regards to reading books about birthing, I'm going to be taking birthing classes with Ryan, and the hospital will teach us everything that we need to know about that, and so I'm not worried about over-reading that either. And in regards to taking care of babies, that's another question that I will answer in a little bit. Question number 11 comes from Gabrielle Going, and she had 2 questions. So the first one she asked was, what's your opinion on electronics with kids? And she was talking about 3 or 4-year-olds having electronics. And iPads being a popular thing nowadays to keep kids busy. And Ryan and I do not want to be on board with this. I think in long trips and car rides, we may let them watch some kind of movie of some sort, but I do not think I will ever resort to a game of some sort to keep my child happy. I made it perfectly fine out of my childhood. My parents raised kids perfectly fine without tablets and cell phones, and so it is our personal opinion that we don't think that should be used to try and distract your child. So we are not on board with that, and most definitely our kids will probably not get a cell phone until they reach the same age I did when I got a cell phone, which was probably 7th grade. So her second question was, are you going to have help with the baby the first few weeks? And I haven't really put much thought into this just because it's kind of far in advance. I think the only help we may end up probably getting is maybe people may make meals for us. It's nothing that I'll ask for, but I have heard that it tends to happen a lot, and of course we love food and we welcome food. But as for getting actual help with the baby, unless I have an issue, then I will talk to Ryan's mom or my mom, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure we'll probably do most of it on our own because Ryan and I both have experience with babies. I have a lot of experience, especially with newborns and infants, and so I'm not really scared or worried about not knowing what to do with specific situations because we have a lot of experience with it. Obviously, there's no way you can know as much as a parent, but like I mentioned, if there's something that I can't figure out or I do need help with, then I will ask my mom or Ryan's mom, but I don't think it's going to be like a set in stone, hey mom, you're going to come spend the first week with me, and hey, Ryan's mom, you're going to come spend the second week with me, and Ryan's also going to be home on maternity leave, so he'll be there with me as well. So question number 12 comes from McKenna Christine, and she asks, why did you make the decision to cloth diaper? And for us, it was both of the main reasons. Ryan was one reason and I was the other. So for Ryan's reason, it was the frugalness of it and the fact that you can save a lot of money. On average, disposable diapers is $2,000, sometimes $4,000 if you're using higher end diapers for one child. And as opposed to using cloth diapers for one child, which on the high end can be around $1,000. And on the low end, I've seen as low as like $300 some with just using pre-folds and covers the entire way through to potty training. And where you really save the money is using them with multiple kids. So that was something that's always been key for Ryan, obviously, is saving money. And thankfully, he has always kind of been on board with it. I do a lot of research about cloth diapering to make sure that we know the struggles that may occur before, so I can do what I need to make sure that we can fix them. And I do that by reading a lot of blog posts and YouTube moms that cloth diaper. So I definitely recommend that if you're interested in it, is to do as much research as possible before you make a decision. And then for me, my reason mainly was I'm just not comfortable with putting the regular diapers on my baby. And that is because most diapers have this like these gel balls that basically expand and keep in all of the urine and stuff when your child goes to the bathroom. And there are a lot of stories from every mom about the fact that they'll change a diaper and those diapers have ripped open and then those gel balls have been sitting on your baby for who knows how long. And that I'm not comfortable with, especially because I can't remember the exact wording and stuff like that, but they aren't like approved by certain standards and stuff like that, and so that just scares me putting that on my baby. But we will not be cloth diapering for the first week or two while their umbilical cord is on. So we will be using Honest diapers just because they're in newborn diapers for such a short amount of time that I don't want to spend a ton of money on newborn diapers with the snap down. So we're just going to be using the Honest disposable diapers up until the point that the umbilical cord falls off, and then we will move to regular cloth diapering. Question number 13 comes from Jackie Steph Nephew Kuhn. That is a very long name. She asks, are you planning on doing placenta encapsulation? And I was quite surprised to see this question. I get a lot of weird remarks from people about this, but I have been considering it. No, I'm not gonna make a placenta hamburger. That is where I draw the line. It's gross, I'm not doing that. But I have considered placenta encapsulation. I did a little bit of research. I haven't done a ton yet, which is why I haven't made a complete decision. But there are a lot of good things that seem to come from them to the mothers that do take them. And there are things with increased milk supply, less chance of postpartum depression, and because of all the nutrients in there that they put back in your body that your body loses after giving birth because your hormones kind of go out of whack. And so it's said that the placenta encapsulation and actually getting the nutrients from that helps kind of balance it out. So I have been considering it. I think in my area, I believe it was around $200, and they just come pick it up right after your delivery, and then you get it within a couple days or something like that. So I'm considering it, but I need to do more research before I make an exact decision whether or not I will for sure. Question number 14 comes from Erin McGinnis, and she asks, will you circumcise your son if you have one? Ryan, do you want to answer this question?
Yes.
Yes, we will be. So he just got home from work. So, oh, Daisy just fell off the bed. So basically with circumcision, I did some research, and it's pretty well known that keeping your boys circumcised prevents them from having bacteria and buildup and stuff like that. And we just decided that yes, we will. So obviously that is all a point of opinion, and all of these are a point of opinion and perception. So if you guys don't want to, that's your own choice, but for us, we are going to. Question number 15 comes from Cherish Harris, and she asks, if you have a girl, will you pierce her ears or have her wait until she's older? And this is hands down no. I will not pierce a baby's ears. If you as a mother did that, then that's your choice, and that's perfectly fine, but for me, I won't. I personally don't agree with doing it. Obviously, they don't have a say. What if as an older child, they decided they didn't want them? And obviously putting that sort of pain to your baby when they have no idea what's going on and they're so tiny, I just don't think it's fair. And I didn't get my ears pierced till, I think, 5th grade, and I made my own choice. I was in the mall, and I told my mom, I want my ears pierced. I'd put it off for a while. I had been scared of it, basically, and so I just told her, I said, I want my ears pierced, and she was like, you really want them right now? And I said, yes, I do. So we went and we got them, and turned out I'm allergic to all earrings, even the sensitive ones, so I can't even wear them, which is fine. I find them kind of annoying because your hair gets stuck in them and stuff. But if they want them, then probably around the same age or a little bit older, Ryan's choice, we will let them, but it will be a choice of their own when they want to do it or if they want to do it, but I definitely will not do it as a baby. And the last 2 questions come from Nadia G, and her first one is, are you doing daycare when they're older? And no, they will never be put in daycare, because me and Ryan made the decision from before we got married that I would be a stay-at-home mom and I would raise our kids. I had kids because I want to spend time with them. I don't want to send them off to daycare, especially because I don't really know what they'd be learning there. Not so much from the daycare, but from other kids. So we're definitely never going to put them in daycare. I will be raising them, and I will always be at home with them. So they're gonna hate that when they're teenagers, but they'll love it when they're kids. So her second question is, are you doing public, private, or homeschool? And along with staying home with them, I will be homeschooling them. Ryan and I are not big advocates of the public school system, and so we would like to homeschool them. And that is something we are in the works of discussing. Obviously, it is several years down the road, but it is definitely our decision for sure that we will be homeschooling, and they will not be going to public or private. So that is the end of this video. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and when I get enough of them, I will do another Q&A for you guys. I will see you next week with my 18-week pregnancy update, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.